Says the Chazon Ish, when a person has this gava, this pride, and views all of his actions as perfect and generous, he's even amused to be suspected of any evil or robbery of some kind, because he says, my deeds are always beyond the letter of the law. I'm stringent in everything. I'm stringent in everything. I only learn the chumrot, the stringencies. In reality, anyone that's only strict on everything, he just automatically goes to the strict side, for sure is an idiot. Why? It doesn't require a Talmid Chacham to know when to be strict. A Talmid Chacham is one that knows when you should be strict and when you should be lenient. That's what a Talmid Chacham is. But not should be strict and should be lenient based on feelings. When it's allowed to be lenient and when you should be. But someone that says, no, I'm strict in everything because I learn the highest, above the letter of the law. I learned the Zohar, I learned the Kabbalistic books and so on. This person is surely an idiot. Again, I'm not talking about the real Talmidei Chachamim that are really tzaddikim and are doing it. I'm talking about your average person. If you're talking about the Gdolei Ador, obviously they're not really part of this conversation. But I'm talking about your average person that thinks that he can be stringent without even having a rabbi, without even knowing Shas and Poskim, which is to learn the Gemara multiple times, to know it, to know the Poskim, to know how to understand Halacha, how to determine Halacha, and so on and so forth. But he wants to be strict without even understanding why he's strict. These are people that usually torture their families because nobody even knows what they're doing and why they're doing it. And many times their kids go off the derech. Many times their kids end up hating the Torah, hating religion, hating God, because all they're learning is that you're not allowed to do anything. And you don't really know why. Because the person that's telling you, he himself doesn't know why. But he tells you, no, this is the way it's supposed to be done. But in reality, that's not sufficient for anybody else other than him. So, this is another time I saw a person that was one of these clowns that says that he only learns the Kabbalistic things. And again, like I said, Kabbalah is Kodesh Kodashim, but it's only for the few. When a new Baal Tshuva, 5-year Baal Tshuva, 10-year Baal Tshuva tells you that he's only learning Kabbalah, it's multiple red flags to say the least. But the best part is that one time I saw one guy who says that he doesn't learn Halacha, he doesn't learn Gemara, he doesn't have a rabbi, he doesn't have anything, but he is an expert in mystical teachings, especially the Zohar, and all of the rabbis in the world. Everybody's bad, everybody's terrible. Somehow I haven't joined that list. I'm sure if he's watching this shiur, I will join that list. But nonetheless, he knows everything. Nobody's good enough. All of the good people already died. The only one that's left that's any good is him. And best yet, he's so good that he feels perfectly fine to go send a threatening letter to a rabbi that was not of his opinion about this whole vaccine situation. Not of his opinion. He had an opinion that I think you shouldn't take the vaccine. The rabbi said that you should take the vaccine, or that you could take the vaccine, whatever it was, and he copied me in the email threatening the rabbi. Listen, if you don't change your mind and you don't do it, you're probably getting paid by the vaccine companies, and if you don't do it, I'm going to expose you. And to me, I just deleted the email as a complete joke, and I assumed that the other rabbi that got this letter probably deleted it also. But it's a complete joke of how much a person's ego grows with every word that he reads without even understanding what that word is. Without even understanding what that word is. I even had one guy, a guy that was coming to my shurim, and I tried to help him. He was not really keeping very much when I first met him, and he started keeping Shabbat, started keeping other things. Baruch Hashem started keeping the Brit, and so on and so forth. But then at some point, things turned completely off, where he started using his semi-tshuva, that he was not sinning with certain sins anymore, as a way to, view himself as better than everybody else. And he would just simply shout and insult anybody else that was in sight, including me. Listen, Rabbi, I don't agree with you on this one. What do you mean you don't agree with me on this one? I just told you what the halacha is. Yeah, but I don't think you're reading it right. Do you know how to read? That you're telling me I don't know if I don't know what I'm reading? Do you know how to read? Do you even have this book? I just don't think that you're saying the whole thing. I think that you're shortchanging me of what the other opinions are. The guy was a mechalel Shabbat, motzi zera levatala, and probably eating taref 5-6 months before I met him. And now he's telling me that maybe I really don't know what I'm talking about. Why? Because sometimes when you only learn one aspect of the Torah and you're not willing to commit yourself to learning the halacha, to know when to apply, what to apply, and how to apply, what ends up happening is that people end up using this Mussar, this new teachings, just to inflate their ego, and it actually makes them worse people, not better people. Becomes very dangerous. And again, it's the same concept with halacha. I've met several people that all they learn is halacha. I've gone to synagogues. We see the guy every single day after prayer, him and a chavuta, every day. They learn halacha for an hour, 2 hours. They know a bunch of different things. The rabbi squeaks. Every time I would go to that shul, if the rabbi squeaked on halacha, one of them always said, but Rabbi, but you do know that there is an opinion that says a little bit different than what you're saying. Okay, but Habibi, this is not a shiur about all the different opinions that ever existed about this halacha. I'm just telling you guys what to do. Okay, but I'm just telling you, there is an opinion. And he would distract, and he would embarrass the rabbi, and he would embarrass everybody else. Everybody else. Why? He wanted to make sure that you knew that he knew something else existed in the world. That's a person, not only is his Torah poisonous, but he will have a very hard time ever gaining the olam haba that he's lost multiple times back because of how many times he embarrassed people in public. Needless to say, the wife that he has, which was like Medusa, of how many people she embarrassed in public. How many people this woman embarrassed in public. With the Kisur Roshan, embarrassing people in public on a regular basis. Why? They feel they're the most righteous people in the world. Rabotai Yekarim, sometimes if a person does not have a rabbi that's going to tell him the truth of how to behave, or he doesn't accept his rabbi, which means he doesn't have a rabbi, or better yet, he's only learning just halacha or just Mussar, that other part that he's not learning that will complete that person to make him better actually destroys him. It actually destroys him. And that's also one of the reasons why the Gemara says that Torah is either Sam Chaim or Sam Mavit. It's either potion for life or potion for death. This is when a Torah can become potion for death. Spiritual death, of course. So now, Rabotai, the Chazon Ish continues. This person who doesn't think that there's anything wrong in himself, all of his deeds are good, says that when he talks about halacha, he talk about, listen, how come you're not coming to pray? How come you're not contributing to community? How come you're not part of the community? How come you're not doing any of these things? No, the need to observe the law does not apply to me, he thinks. It's meant for people who love themselves, whose deeds are imperfect, and who lust for money. It's not meant for those who possess the fear of God and have perfected themselves like me. This is what such a person thinks. A person thinks that he is the one that has Yirat Shamayim. Why? He sees that everybody else has, their hands are in something that's not so clean. Why? Oh, you see that guy? Yeah, he's, what is he? He's religious. But 5 years ago he was married to a non-Jew, right? Okay, but he's not married to her now anymore. Yeah, but I'm just letting you know. Just so you know. You never know. Maybe he's going to go back to that. Okay, but you realize that's Lashon Hara, right? No. Lashon Hara is only if I'm not trying to protect you and I'll start to manipulate the world and the halacha in order to justify him saying Lashon Hara. That's what we'll do. Or another way. Hey, listen, I saw that you have a picture on your profile from 13 years ago where you were laying on the beach without a shirt. You think maybe you want to take that picture off, maybe? Because you don't know who's looking at your profile. What? 13 years ago I have a picture of me with a shirt off? And How do you know about it? No, I was just, I was just surfing, and I was looking to help people on the internet do tshuva, and I just so happened I ran into the pictures that you have, and I went back 13 years of comments, and I saw that there's a picture of you without a shirt on, and maybe I thought, you probably want to know that maybe you want to take it off, because maybe if I saw it, maybe somebody else will see it too. Honestly, I don't think anybody else would see it, because nobody else has no life like you to go look at the person's profile from 13 years ago. But since you say so, I'm going to go take it off. And that's what happens. Why? He is looking to perfect the world instead of himself. Because he thinks he's already perfect. She thinks he's already perfect. Rabbi, listen, what do you think of a woman that's not modest? I don't think of a woman that's not modest. No, I mean, like, what is she going Gehinom? Hopefully she does tshuva. No, but if she doesn't do tshuva, she goes to Gehinom. Which chamber she goes to in Gehinom? She goes to a really bad part. Hopefully she does tshuva. That's the whole point of what we're doing. Why are you asking this question? Are you the not modest woman? No, chas v'shalom, Rabbi, I'm modest. I did tshuva, I'm this, I'm that. Okay, so, no, there's just this woman that I saw at the supermarket, and she wasn't really modest, and she wore a wig, and I thought maybe I should tell her that she's going to go to the 5th level of Gehinom, maybe even the 7th, and maybe this, and maybe that. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just tell her, listen, here's a shul Torah, here's a CD, here's a flyer. Good luck to you, Bezat Hashem, you'll do tshuva. What are you worrying about her Gehinom? Why are you worrying about everybody else's Gehinom? You're judging everybody, this, that. Why don't you go help them? Why don't you go help them? No, maybe she doesn't want to help, so why do you need to know where she's going? Why don't you worry about whether you're going to go to Gehinom? And that's what happens. Many times, people focus on everybody else. Why? Because they view themselves as perfect. Halacha, it's not for me. It's for the people that are imperfect. It's for the people that don't have Yirat Shamayim like me. It's for the people that don't learn Mussar like me, have not perfected themselves like me. And that's what the Chazon Ish says, a person only looks at the outside world and not at himself. Why? His gava is in the middle. His pride is in the middle. His pride is in the middle, Rabotai, and it simply makes it impossible for him to learn Torah the right way. And even more so, the Chazon Ish continues, anyone who suspects him that he's even doing anything wrong is considered by him to be showing disrespect to Torah scholars and desecrating the honor of Hashem. This is one of the biggest jokes in the world. Why? You go to a person and you hear him making a comment and you see he's wrong. Simply he's wrong. He made a comment. He says that if somebody is such and such, you're not allowed to help him, you're not this, you're not that. Tell him, listen, no, it's not true. You are allowed. You should, and so on and so forth. What you're saying doesn't pertain to such a person. And instead of saying, oh, you know what, maybe I'll check into it. How do you know? Can you give a source? Anything like that. They answer with, oh, hold on a second. You do realize that the Gemara says that someone that is suspecting their rabbi is like he's suspecting Hashem. And you're thinking to yourself, who said you're my rabbi? Who said you're my rabbi? And who's suspecting? I'm just telling you that you're wrong. Or maybe you should check yourself. Oh, so now you're saying, so in reality what you're doing is you're embarrassing a Talmid Chacham. Now he thinks he's a Talmid Chacham and you're embarrassing a Talmid Chacham. Oh, what you're doing is Chilul Hashem. And that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you'll have people with such arrogance, such a big chip on their shoulder, that you can't even talk to them. You simply can't talk to them, a normal conversation with them. You can't question anything. You can't say anything. You can't peep. Nothing. And it's not because they're such great scholars. Usually it's the opposite. And what ends up happening, Abutai, is that these people that have arrogance, what the Gemara really says is that a person that's arrogant, even his own family ends up hating him. And I had one time a woman call me crying, asking me if I could help her with her marriage. And I said, oh, well, maybe your husband can do tshuva, learn some of our shurim. She said, Rabbi, I need a different solution. I said, why? I mean, is he observant? She goes, no, he's very observant. He even is a speaker. So what do you mean a speaker? He goes, he speaks locally to a lot of different people. said, well, he's a rabbi? I don't know if he's a rabbi, but he speaks to a lot of people. Everybody knows him. I said, oh, so maybe he probably talks about halacha. Maybe he should talk a little bit Mussar. She said, I've told him that already. Maybe you should learn Mussar. And his response was, I've read 45 different Mussar books. Nobody can teach me anything. He read 45 Mussar books, and he feels nobody can teach him anything. Why? Because he read all the books. The fact that he's still beating his wife and kids, he doesn't think that's such a problem. The fact that his wife is considering suicide, he doesn't think it's such a problem. All right? He read 45 books, and no one can teach him anything. Anyone that says no one can teach him anything surely is a arrogant person. Why? Because even David HaMelech, the Gemara says, Alachat moto. At whatever David says was always the right thing. It was always the halacha, was what David said. Not because he said it, but because he was such a scholar in Torah that he always got the emet. Always got the emet. But even David HaMelech says, Mikol melamdai iskalti. I learned from everybody. I learned from all of my students. 8-year-old has a chidush of a parashat Shavua. Tell me, I want to hear it. 15-year-old just finished Masechet, finished the Shas. Want to teach me something? No problem. The rabbi, 50 years older than me, wants to teach something? No problem. Anybody wants to teach me Torah, I'm listening. I can learn from everybody. If David HaMelech, that always got the emet, says, I learned from everybody, you little chupchik, little cockroach that think that you read 40 books or whatever you read, nobody can teach you anything, obviously there's something wrong there. Obviously there's something wrong there. And many times, Rabotai, a person ends up spitting on the hands that feeds him, ends up going against his rabbi, going against his family, his supporters, and eventually against Hashem, just like Yerovam ben Nevat. Where all the Torah that they learn end up becoming a potion of death. Now, a person can say, yeah, but maybe there is another opinion to it, and the mystical teachings of the Kabbalah and so on. Okay, so let's go there. Who, better than the Arizal, can tell us what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai meant in the Kabbalah, in the Zohar, which, for all who do not know, the difference between the Jewish teachings and the Jewish text versus the other religions and other teachings in the world is that there is no such thing as brand new in the Torah world. Meaning that every book that's a real sefer, that has real Torah in it, has to be based on the teachings of something or some things before it. Meaning, you write a book, you can't just write a book based purely on your ideas. Cannot be. Has to be sourced, whether it's the Gemara that you want to use, or the Mishnah, or the Chumash, or the Midrash, or the Zohar, or Sifrei Mussar, Sifrei Tzadikim. There is no something from nothing. Only Hashem can make something from nothing. Nobody else can. So if you have a real book, a real sefer that has Torah in it, it must contain sources, and the more sources, usually the better. The more of a sefer it is. That's why the responses, the questions and answers of the sages are very critical teachings, because not only are they giving you the question and the answer, but they're showing you all of the countless different sources that they covered in order to arrive at that answer and in order to consider other answers. But needless to say, if a person wants to be a scholar, he has to be a scholar in those types of teachings. And the Zohar itself, while many who are ignorant about it think that it's not real, or it's something that people made up, or somebody didn't write it, after many Chachamim, many Chachamim have studied it extensively and have verified that it's 100% emet and so on, there is no question about its legitimacy, its extraordinary kedusha that's in it, and teachings that are in it. But what a lot of people don't know is that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did not invent any of this teaching. It's not like he just came up with it out of thin air. His own teachings in the Zohar is based on over 60 Kabbalistic books that were written before him. Yes, over 60 Kabbalistic books that were written before Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Even at a time where the oral Torah was not written, there were certain things that were written in the Kabbalistic world. For example, the Sefer Yetzirah of Avraham Avinu is one of the many sources that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai brings up. Malach Raziel has a Sefer. Some of it is mentioned in there. The teachings of Shem, the teachings of some of the greatest that lived before him, that wrote different books, different things, were mentioned in the Zohar. It's not just the Zohar is Rabbi Shimon's invention from nothing. But again, if you ask your average person that thinks he learned Zohar, he doesn't even know any of this stuff, but yet he thinks he's a Torah scholar. So the one that really did teach us, did bring light to the world, as far as explaining what the Zohar really says, the Kabbalistic teachings in it, is the Arizal. The Arizal had a Talmid who's known as the Malchu. The Malchu, Rabbi Chaim Vital, he wrote a lot of the teachings of what the Arizal said, and in a Sefer called Sefer Alikutim, in Daf Peichet, Amud Aleph. It's also in the Be'er Tev. If you look at if you have a what's it called? A Mishnah Berurah. If you have a Mishnah Berurah, then usually you have a Be'er Tev in it. The Be'er Tev in Ilchot Ta'anit, in Amud Taf Kuf Ayin Aleph, 571, Ot Aleph. Same thing is mentioned over there. So the Malchu, Rabbi Chaim Vital, says in the name of the Arizal that know this, makes a statement, know this, that when a wicked person learns Torah, thinking that he's adding Kedusha, this Torah is not only not doing so, not adding this Kedusha, but rather the Torah that he's learning is giving even more strength to the Klipa. As it is said in Psalm 50, verse 16, לרשע אמר אלוהים, מה לך לספר חוקיי ותישא בריתי על פיך. Hashem says to the wicked, but to the wicked, God said, to what purpose do you recount my decrees and bear my covenant upon your lips? So, here, the giant of all giants that taught Am Yisrael, brought light to the meaning of Kabbalah and Zohar and so on, saying if a person is arrogant, person is wicked, and he thinks that learning the Torah because he's going to learn more Zohar, or he's going to learn more Halacha, or he's going to learn more Mussar, but that's not going to be something he's going to apply to himself to change himself and become a better quality human being. But rather, it's going to be more things that he could just tell people that he knows. It's going to be more things that he could just show off with. It's going to be more things that he can make fun of people with, and so on and so forth. He says this Torah that he's learning, not only is it not making him more holy, it's actually giving more strength to the klipa, which is the sitra achra, the other side, giving more strength to the satan, in so many words. Giving more strength to the satan. More reasons of why he's going to be punished, this person. More difficulties of him to do tshuva in the first place. Why? He's learning Torah for the wrong reason, Rabotai. And a lot of times people do things for the wrong reason, but if they have a Rav that they listen to, that Rav can protect them. But if they don't have a Rav, or they don't listen to the Rav that they do have, which really is the same thing, or almost the same thing, then unfortunately, trouble is ahead. Well, many times a person can ask you a question, you give him an answer, and Rabbi, maybe there's a different opinion. Wait, you asked me a question. Yes. I said what I said. Yes. Do you think I just invented the answer? No. What do you think I did? You probably looked it up, or you asked your rabbi or somebody. So I didn't just invent it, right? Doesn't matter how I got it. I got it from Rabbi Ephraim, I got it from a book, I got it from Rabbi Chaim Vital in a dream, I got it from somewhere. I didn't invent the answer, right? I gave you an halacha, I gave you a source, right? I gave you an answer, right? I said no, I said yes, I said maybe, I said whatever I said, that's what I said, right? Yes. So why are you asking a follow-up question? Well, I don't know. You said, I was hoping you'd say yes, but you said no. So I was maybe trying to see, maybe there's another opinion. In essence, what you're saying is, you're asking me a question with already a decision, if you will, that it doesn't really matter what I say unless what I say is what you want me to say. Do me a favor, don't ask any questions like that. Why? Because you're just getting yourself in trouble. You're just getting yourself in trouble and you're wasting my time. And unfortunately, many times it happens. And it's not necessarily always with big things. Sometimes it's with small things, sometimes it's with big things, but usually it's something that the person doesn't want to do and you in essence confirmed that they have to do it, or vice versa.